A.J., it's great to talk to you and your mustache. Are you going for Tom Selleck or Aaron Rodgers? What's the plan here?
Definitely, yeah, Magnum PI all the way. Tom Selleck look for sure.
How long do you plan to grow this thing out?
You know, every me and Josh Stein, a few of us, obviously, like before the celebration for Peter, the celebration of life, we taught, everybody in the office was trying to grow the mustaches, and little by little trying to see who last man standing is so far. So, if we lose a couple, I'm like, all right, I'm taking the mustache off. Then we seemingly will win one, and okay, let's keep it another day. So we'll see.
Are you getting used to it? Is this something that you can envision, like keeping it long term?
Absolutely not. No. Yeah, it feels like you have something on your lip all the time. It feels like you have like a piece of hair in your mouth. So I don't know. We'll see how long it lasts, but I don't think it's going to be too much longer. So
I know this is an honor to go ahead and honor Peter Seidler, who had the incredible Monopoly Man mustache. But can you just describe what the off season has been like for you and the organization? I know there's been a lot of pain, a lot of healing. What was this off season like for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Peter's, a phenomenal person, and he was an incredible boss. So, I think again, I think the celebration of life, that day, just so many people talking and just telling stories, from their heart and just talking about Peter. I think that was a great day just to come out and laugh a little bit. I think there's, I think overall as an organization, I think obviously, everybody wants to make him proud and kind of see through his vision. And I think from everybody's standpoint, there's always days where you look up and, we all talk about missing him, but his message, like what he was all about, they'll be with me forever. And I think just valuing and, the friendship and the ability to work for somebody like that, that'll be there forever.
I always love the way he walked around during batting practice, talking to players, getting to know guys, hugging Manny Machado or Xander Bogaerts. What would he have thought of Jackson Merrill?
Yeah, he always loved Jackson. He loved hearing this. I think I mentioned it a few weeks ago. I mean, like one of Peter's favorite things was, hearing about the guys that were coming, and the guys in the minor league system or the guys that we were looking at in the draft. So he had heard a lot about Jackson a few years ago, before the draft from our scouts and our group. And, then, following his journey in the minor leagues, and he was always, talking about, hey, tell me when Jackson gets here. He loves hearing about his competitive spirit and his love for the game, which, those guys shared. And just like you said, I think seeing Peter in batting practice is one of the best moments. Just him and his, in his element, just going up to guys with the baseball in hand and giving encouragement, joking around, laughing. I think something we all try to emulate.
Jackson surprised even your early expectations. I realize it's young right now, but a young season, but a new position he's having to learn, new pitchers. What have you thought so far of his adjustments?
Yeah, no, I think he puts the time in to be ready and be prepared. He's an athlete. He's got great instincts. So I think, we saw it a little bit at the end of last year when we moved him to the, he had a little bit of time in left field. And I think our coaching staff, Vinny Lopez on the minor league side, Riley Westman, their looks, they said, I think he's going to be able to do this and he's going to be able to succeed at it. So similar, we put Fernando in the outfield, early on, some growing pains, but you could see the skill set was there and the athleticism, the instincts. And from Jackson's standpoint, again, I think we've learned, from his standpoint, there's not a lot of things that you look at and say he can't do this or can't do that. And he's off to a good start and hopefully build on it.
You talked about bringing young guy culture to this Padres team, which is kind of funny because you look at that in your clubhouse and you have some young guys on your team, including Tatis. What type of different energy does he bring?
Yeah, we have some young guys in that clubhouse. I think with Jackson, just again, I think unique to him, he's like a highly competitive player, but he just loves it. He loves being out on the field. He loves the work that goes into it. He loves the preparation. You see that every day, and it translates in the 9 innings between the lines.
Graham Pauley's back up with his team for the second time. What's the best position for Graham Pauley? Where do you envision him playing long term?
Yeah, I think Graham again, he's got most of his time at third base, so he'll get some time here, again at third base. But he's showing the ability to bounce around, play some first base, second base, and left field. And I think from our standpoint, getting his bat in the lineup, I think that's really what we're looking for. And but in terms of he knows we've got obviously Manny coming back here at third base, Cronenworth playing the way he is at first base. So I think just getting an additional bat there and somebody that can give those guys a day off, give some guys a breather if they need it, and move around the field. I think that's the biggest thing with Graham.
With some of the young guys that you are playing right now, why is that a better option than say perhaps going to some of the free agents out there, whether it was a guy like Tommy Pham who just signed with the White Sox or Brendan Bell?
Again, I think there's a lot of belief and faith in like we talked about with Jackson and Graham and others that are coming behind those guys. I think just knowing those guys, their work ethic. They've been, again, from the minor league side, they've been in a spot the last few years where they've played together. They've been drilled and taught about playing winning baseball, what that looks like, and guys that, again, like they're guys that control the strike zone. They can play defense, and they're very competitive. So I think from that standpoint, it's a really good fit with the current group we have, and I think we'll continue to look to the system this year to go add to our depth.
Is that more what you think about the Padres are going to be? Like a couple years ago, you'd hear like this possible free agent, this big name, don't count the Padres out. They can go ahead and spend that kind of money. Do you think the future of this team is going to be about really finding those players from within your organization?
I think every year it's always about I think finding fits and finding guys that can come in and talented players that come in and make your team better. Sometimes that's in the system. Sometimes that's on the free agent market or on the trade market. So I don't think we're never going to be a group that's going to shut down one of those areas. And there's no one way to do it. It's not like, hey, you look up and you need to have 10 superstars on the field or 9 superstars on the field. There's not like, hey, you got to have X number of homegrown players on the field. I think it's just about your team, your fit, your blend. I think it's good to have a blend of some guys that have some different backgrounds and come from some different experiences. But it's not going to be about from our standpoint. It's always about just going to find talent and make up guys that fit.
What do you make of this team so far? I realize it's only a few weeks of this season. You'll hear from people on the outside, some national guys saying the pieces fit. A less talented team when you lose Blake Snell, when you lose Juan Soto. Those are significant. Do the pieces fit right now with the type of guys you have in the clubhouse?
Yeah, I think so far we've had some really good moments. I think we've had some exciting moments. Obviously, a couple of the comeback wins and the feel of the roster and the team and how we're going about it. And then we've also probably left some things on the field in terms of some games that we probably could have held on to and won. So again, I think it's early in the year, we understand that, but I think the expectation, how we're going to play, the style that we play, I think we're trying to establish that standard every single day and just continue to get better and grow on it. So overall, I think it's been a start. We've kind of got out of the blocks in a way that's kept us competitive. But now if we're going to really go do what we need to do this summer, it's about getting better every single day and continue to grow from this start.
Culture became such a topic last season. What does Mike Shildt bring, and how important is that you guys seem to be so closely aligned?
Yeah, I think Mike brings a lot to the table. Obviously, I think from the team standpoint, I think some of it was honestly overblown a little bit in terms of the clubhouse dynamic and chemistry. I think we had a lot of guys that got along last year and ultimately, we're very competitive and trying to win games. But Mike brings, an element again. Like he's ultimately, his managing style, the way he goes about it, bringing a group together. He's had a lot of success doing that in St. Louis with some really established players and also bringing some guys through the system. He's very organized. He's a super hard worker. He's very detail oriented. And I think again he's going to keep preaching the messages to the team about being together. And over the course of the year, I think that's gonna come through for us.
Does he answer you with 3 a.m. text messages and phone calls?
Yeah, his work ethic is pretty legit. So Mike, he's definitely on it. And I think again from that chair having Mike, that's he gets after it, and you can tell this is his life. This is what he lives for. He's kind of grown up in the clubhouse, kind of in the scouting and then player development ranks, and then getting to the big league side and having a lot of success there. And I think that work ethic component for him is a big reason why.
You guys were all in last season. So much talent on this roster. How is this a must-win year? Is this a must-win year for the guys in this organization for you personally after all these years?
Yeah, I think for us, we expect to win every year. Honestly, I think we've looked up really since 20. I think we look at the start of the year and feel like we have rosters and teams that should play into October, should play really exciting baseball to San Diego and to our fans. And I think our expectation again this year is go play into October and get to the playoffs, go win a division title, and that's clearly what we're talking about this year for sure.
Do you think that just looking at how you guys have competed so far, Dodgers, Cubs, some of the teams with winning records, do you think that your expectation is this is a playoff roster? You have Manny Machado, you have Tatis, you have Bogarts, you have Darvish, you have Musgrove, you have a lot of highly paid players. Should this be a playoff team?
I think again you need it starts with the starting pitching group with King, Cease, Darvish, Musgrove. We feel like we have some depth throughout the year too. If we have some injuries that we can give guys a breather and a blow and sustain some different hits that we may have. The bullpen, I think guys kind of settling into their roles the last few weeks. I think it's been good to see, and I think we've made it a point to go add some left-handed pitching, especially in our division from the pen standpoint. But we'll keep looking to try to get better there. And offensively, we're putting some runs on the board. We've had some of those comebacks, but it's got to be that consistent pressure. And I don't think we've quite hit in that area where, every single day, every single inning, we're doing what we need to do. But I think we have the pieces in place. Shildt will tell you that. Our coaches and players, believe that. there's definitely a belief in that clubhouse that we're a good team and we're a team that's going to be very competitive. And I think that's something we'll continue to grow on. We'll also look at adding in the system and continue to supplement this roster and see what's out there in the league. But we like our team, we like our group, and we feel like it's a team that should play into October.
Is there any payroll flexibility to go add another piece if need be? I mean, you can never have enough pitching, which we're finding out early on.
Yeah, I think that was part of the offseason as well. Was again, like I think. I know there were moments in the offseason where you could tell from conversations with fans and things like that where people were like, are you gonna where are we at adding pieces? But I think we're waiting to again there's a belief in some guys in the system. Like we looked up, there was Jackson Merrill, some younger pitching that's going to come through, some guys we have in our bullpen right now, Stephen Kolick, etc. But I think like ultimately with the idea that when the right pieces are there, we have the ability to go add, and I think we showed that at the end of spring training with the Dylan Cease trade. And again, from our standpoint, understanding where our budget's at, but having the flexibility to have the conversations. Myself, Eric Katzenda, Eric Rubner, we want to win, and I think we understand that if that means adding another player, adding another piece, adding some dollars, we have the ability to do that if we want to.
A few more questions, if you'll indulge me on this. I asked Manny Machado the same thing, like the opening week, like. He was close with Peter Seidler, very obviously, and I asked him, how personal was this season for him, to honor him? How personal was this season for you, for a guy that gave you your biggest opportunity in baseball?
Yeah, no, it's I think it's definitely, it means a ton, I think, and from my standpoint, obviously there's always a lot of motivation, but I think when you sit back and every day you see 40,000+ fans here, we got to make sure we give back, to that group, and that was, again, Peter's vision. So I think from my standpoint, making sure we do everything in my power with baseball operations, our coaching staff, our players, to honor Peter, to play in a way that would make him proud. That's a very real thing. I think it's going to be a real thing throughout the summer.
I know a couple of years ago you had this massive trip to Walt Disney World, 8 days, didn't have your cell phone, which I don't understand. Did you do anything fun? Did you actually take a vacation that did not involve baseball?
Yeah, no Disney this off season. But yeah, I think it's the focus. Let's play deep into October, maybe jump back to back to Disney or Universal or something next off season. So.